So we exported the mesh to the Fluent, and now I'm going to continue the next step in the Fluent side. So the first step is to create interiors boundary condition from these two interfaces that I created. Notice that when I click on that, it's gonna show the related interfaces. One thing to notice is when I didn't use interface word for these interfaces, it assumed that these name selections are one, which we are going to change it later on, but that's an interesting observation. So to change these interfaces to interior, we go to combine, and then we fuse these two interfaces. So, and then we go and select interface 1 and 2, and we uncheck this. And it's important to name the name starts with interior. So please note that. So interior, let's call it interior 1, 2. And as we do that, it's going to remove from the interfaces. And also we are going to change this interface to interior. So, and those are right now as wall, but we're going to select them 5, 6, and we're going to name them interior 5, 6. And as you can see, as I did that, it changed the boundary condition to interior 1, 2, and interior 5, 6. And also, I'm going to change the rest of interfaces to create interfaces between, moving and stationary zone. So here, I'm going to close this, and I'm going to select this one, hold on the shift, and then right click, and then I'm gonna change them to interface. And I need to create interfaces from these selections. So I'll go to interfaces and go to manual create. Let's just choose a name interface 1. And then I select this from this window and interface 4 from this window. These are matching interfaces that we know we created. And then create. And then we need to create another interface, interface 2. So I select interface 7 from this window and 8 from this window and create. And when you click on that, basically it shows the matching interfaces to make sure that we did it correctly. The next step would be to go to the General tab and change the 2D space to axisymmetric. Don't forget that this line represents the axisymmetric axis in this simulation. Also change the type of analysis to transient because dynamic meshing does not apply to steady analysis. Next step would be to create a motion for this rectangle. So basically you need to prescribe this motion and create a profile file, and it's very simple. And you see, just you need to these 3 lines to define the motion of the rectangle, and then you're going to read it through profile under boundary condition tab. So you go there, read, and then this is a profile file you created, and then create, and this is going to be used later on. Next step would be to go to the dynamic mesh and then just create the rigid body motion. So we click dynamic mesh. We don't need the smoothing, but we need layering, and then we leave the setting to the default motion. And then we go and create, and first we need to create the rigid body motion for the walls of this rectangle. So I'm going to go and one by one select this and create uh, the rigid body motion. But to save time, I just show you just one of the walls. So I go, and you need to find this wall, and good name selection helps us. So we found this wall left, and it's already selected. This is a motion which is gonna prescribe the this motion, and we need to go to the meshing option and put the cell height. So basically, this is a cell height perpendicular to the motion. Basically, this is the cell height from here to here. And as we know, we created a 1 millimeter, so we're gonna put 1 millimeter here and then create, and then we have this created dynamic mesh zone. So I'm gonna repeat this for the rest of walls. The next step would be to create rigid body motion for the interior boundary conditions that we just created. So basically we go and we find them in this menu, interior 1, 2, and click on mesh options, and it's already selected. So we just click create. And also we need to create rigid body motion for the other interface, interior 5, 6. And it's already created. Let's put 1 millimeter here to finish the definition. And the last step would be to assign these zones as a rigid body motion. So because as this rectangle is moving to the right, the top zone is gonna move with it. So don't forget this last step. So we are gonna go and find the moving this moving zone, which is moving top, and it's already selected, so we are good to go. We are done with the layering technique meshing setup, but before starting the simulation, it's a good practice to display the zone motion. So we click on that, and we choose a appropriate time step, and then we just click preview, and it nicely shows that how it's gonna move. So it's a good practice to do that. And then next we're gonna initialize that and ready to start simulation. But before that, you should do this important step. You should save the case file, because after the dynamic mesh is created, you cannot retrieve your original mesh. So let's go to File and Export and create your case and data file. So it's already selected FFF.1, so just don't forget that. So, and click OK. And also, it's good to create an animation from this mesh motion. And so to create an animation, click on calculation activities and click on solution animation. And then click new objects, mesh, and it's already selected. Save displays, select this, and you're gonna have animation. But before that, let's just select, every 5 time step is gonna record the pictures, and then click OK. And then we go to run calculations and select the appropriate time step, and we just run it for 100 time step, and then just hit the calculate. So it's gonna solve the equations, and it's gonna show how this rectangle is moving. So Fluent has finished the simulation, and as you can see, it shows the last time step of rigid body, and it shows that it has moved from this location to this location. But to see between them, let's go to the animation and click solution animation playback, and then let's just run it. And as you can see, it shows nicely how this rigid body is moving, and it shows that our preparation for the geometry was correct. And it's important to follow this step to have a nice geometry dynamic meshing with layering technique. Thank you for watching.